Hello, Mr. Sheriff. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
good morning.
Um, Good morning. We are 6 minutes away. So I
Okay.
was afraid. I was afraid that we lo- we are not going to see you very soon. Okay, so we are going to start in the next. Oh,
Hmm?
minute. So okay, I'm going to send you another link now. So maybe you want to share it with anyone. So
Okay.
but I think the previous background is fine. Ah, nice.
I think this one is fine also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe I'm still going to change it because you know now. Um,
I think you should. Can you give me a moment, please? And then I.
hmm? No. Okay. So it remains 3 minutes. So we'll be starting very soon. So generally, I will be starting with presentation of the guest. So after, I will start by asking you also to introduce yourself because there is no you cannot really know the full details of people until they speak up themselves to introduce themselves. So yeah. So I will ask you to introduce yourself, and after we start with the question.
Okay.
So yeah, I think now we are going to start. So it's already 10 a.m. in Nigeria. So basically, I'll be starting with the introduction. We have like it's divided into three different sections. The first one is I'm going to introduce the guest. The second section is about the guest introducing himself and also the questions I will be asking him. And finally, the audience in the chat, they will also be asking some question and I will be reading the question to you. So good everyone. My name is Ademola Adeniji. Of course, you already know me if you have been seeing the channel. So today we have like the very first edition, and I was thinking of when I was trying to think about somebody to invite. I think it's a no-brainer that Sheriff that we have here today is the maybe the best choice to invite to kick off the episode of inviting people to the YouTube channel so that they can share their experience with us, specifically about living in other countries. So our guest today, his name is Mr. Sherif Oyeranmi. So he holds a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering or electronics and electrical engineering from Ladoke Akintola University with a first class. Obviously, he's my mate. We finished together from Lautech in 2020. So thereafter, he had a lot of experience working on robotics. And in 2022, he secured an admission in France to study robotics and electronics, if I'm correct, yes, at Université Paris Saclay in France. So today we have him. So presently, he's a PhD student in Université Paris Saclay working on robotics. So we have him here today to share his experience with us, and we are really very happy to have you here today, Mr. Sheriff.
Thank you so much for having me. It's indeed
Yeah.
an honor to be here. And I say hello to the audience also. It's nice to be amidst you wonderful people.
Yeah. So I have a lot of questions today. In fact, of course, we've spoken a lot of time before, and even I'm also very inquisitive to ask some of these questions from you. So today, the fourth question I'll be asking is: can you please introduce yourself to us? What do you do before coming to France? About generally your life in Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you so much. As the moderator or the host has rightly said, my name is Sherif Oyeranmi, a native of Ibadan, the mega city of Nigeria. Currently, I'm a PhD researcher at IBISC lab here at Université Paris Saclay. But before I transitioned into coming to France, I was a graduate. I'm still a graduate. I was a graduate of Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, where I studied electronic and electrical engineering. Are you still with me?
Yes, yes, yes. Because I'm
Where I
thinking, okay, all right, you can continue. You can continue.
studied electronic and electrical engineering, and I
Yeah.
graduated in 2020, as the host rightly said. Afterwards, I was a businessman. I was into importing special kind of cooking oil from Germany and selling to my market in Nigeria. I did that for approximately 2 years before I decided to come to France.
But now you said because you understand quite well, you you did electrical engineering. What's your inspiration about doing this importation business? Mm, like
Well,
after graduation?
the most important, or let me say, the main reason why I did that was to fend for myself, definitely. I was trying to
Yeah.
look for opportunities to be to be able to sustain my finances. And the opportunity, I'm a kind of person that do not really, I'm not really of the opinion that since I graduated with a particular grade or because I have a particular degree, it is compulsory for me to make money with the degree. Up until
Mm.
now, I have not worked with my degree anywhere aside from using it to come to France. So I
Mm.
was just looking for means to make money. I found the opportunity of importing from Germany. I saw that I could make good money from it, and I explored it.
Good. Thanks for that. So the next question I'll be asking is about because like you already know, we have a group, and as you rightly seen that some of our friends or probably people from Nigeria generally, they love to go to the US. Also, they love to go to the UK to do their postgraduate studies. And very few, in fact, let me say, I haven't even met somebody that we just come up one day and say, I want to study in France. And maybe I should even mention this. There was a time when I received admission to France. I tried to search for somebody that is currently schooling in France because I don't know how to go about the visa. And I was very fortunate to find just one person. Before I could even find the person, it was really, really difficult. But at the end, I couldn't connect with the person. And yeah, I was just doing everything myself. So, what actually motivated you to say you want to study in France and not like US and UK, just like other people do?
Okay. Well, um, to answer that question, or let me say, I'm going to answer that question by describing my exact situation. I actually did not choose to come here because of France. I came here
Mm.
because of university. So
Because of what?
because
Because
of
of
the
what?
university itself, I did not come
Okay,
here
okay.
because I was dreaming of coming to France. No, no. In fact, I never even considered France until this university came into play. So I came into this
Mm.
university because my friend here told me about the university. I made my research about the university. I liked the university. I liked the rigor and everything that I heard about the university. So I chose the university. If this university were to be in another country, most probably I will be in that other country. So
Mhm.
France was not part of the deciding factor when I wanted to move abroad. The only deciding factor was the university. I liked the
So
university.
by the
I liked it, and then I
so by the
decided to.
university, you mean like ranking or what,
Yeah,
or the type
ranking.
of
Ranking, yes, ranking is part of the things that convinced me to come here. And the most important thing is really the way the quality of education that they have here, the rigor and the kind of tasks that they give to students here. Because I had a friend
mm,
that was in this university at that time, so he described a lot of things that they used to do, and I was thrilled. So I decided I think I want to
mm,
go to the university also. So
mm.
France was not
Okay.
a deciding factor also.
All right. That's really very nice. So okay, like you know that most people that go abroad, they usually or often time they always look into scholarship. That okay, no one really wants to pay like 40,000 US dollars for a master's in the US. Of course, people do, but very few. So, why do you, because of course you are my friend and I know some of the details. So, why do you decide to self fund your master's in France?
Okay. At first, it was not in my plan to self-fund my master's.
Mm,
My plan was to get a scholarship and then study for the master's with the scholarship. But when I applied for the scholarship, unfortunately, I was not awarded the scholarship. I don't know why. Maybe because I applied very, very late, and then maybe the considerations for the scholarships were already over. And as I mentioned earlier, uh, I had this particular university in mind. So I
mm,
applied only to this university. I did not
mm,
apply to any other country. I did not apply
I think your voice is
Can you hear me?
breaking. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So I applied to only this university. So when I was admitted, I was admitted without funding, and then
Mm.
at first I wasn't planning to take it. But when I got information that the tuition fees was 243 euros and
Yes.
accommodation 170 euros per month, I felt that's a bit, relatively cheap or very, very cheap. So I thought and thought about it. I consulted I consulted my other friend in France to ask about the cost of living and every other thing that would require me to spend a dime. And you know, when I made the plan, then it was very, very, very affordable. Very, very
Mm.
affordable. So I decided to come
All
because
right.
at
So,
the I wanted to
mhm,
do a masters. So it was the only opportunity I had. It was cheap. It was
mhm.
excellent quality. So I decided to take it.
So, because I was about to ask about how did you choose the university and also the course, but since you already mentioned before that, okay, because of the uh, specific university in terms of ranking and also the type of program they do and also the quality of the education. So, probably you also have more to add about what made you to select the course. Yeah, because of course your background is specifically in electronics and electrical engineering, maybe not more of robotics, but how did you like select that particular master's program?
Okay. Well, as you rightly said, my background is in electronic and electrical engineering. But before I left Nigeria, I already had it in mind that I wanted to
Mhm,
do robotics for my postgraduate studies before
mhm,
applying for this master. I had it in mind that I think I want to transition from electrical engineering, pure
mhm,
electrical engineering. Initially, when I finished my bachelor's, I was a communication engineering major.
mhm.
But then I transitioned before leaving Nigeria, even before applying for this master's, I transitioned into robotics. I was doing some robotics training then before I applied for this master.
Yeah.
So it was quite easy for me. My first year master's was masters in electrical engineering, but it was
Mhm.
possible
Oh, okay.
to major in robotics.
Robotics.
So I took that
Okay.
master's in electrical engineering with the aim of majoring in
Mm.
robotics, which I
Robot.
ended up doing.
Yeah. So I think now it makes sense because some people maybe they want to do something completely different from their background and they will just want to do it instantly. But right now when you said okay, your first year was purely in electrical engineering. So for the second year, of course in France, okay, maybe they have opportunity for you to go into specialization for the second year. Now you ended up very to make a very good decision of picking robotics. Okay. So I think that's a very good nice choice. So now to the big part. The big part is concerning the financial because I think that's the most important thing. If you are studying abroad and your finances are not okay, I think it can really determine a lot of things. So yeah, my first question is before you said okay, maybe the tuition fee is like 243 euros. How did you like save up for this master? Okay, even for a fact that it's not all about the tuition fee. There's also the living expenses, the accommodation, and everything. So how did you plan to save up? Save up. By save up, I don't really mean during the masters. Maybe we should start from before coming to France, like
Okay, okay.
for the
I get
visa and everything. Yeah.
I get your question. Well,
Yeah.
for me, I have always had savings.
Mm,
I knew a time would come when I would need a lot of money to do something. So I have
mm,
always had that amount of money with me. So it was just
okay.
very easy for me to sit down and say, okay, I have this. amount of money. How much is it
Yeah.
going to cost me to study in France for one
Mm.
year? Because I planned for
Oh.
1 year, and then I was
Oh.
thinking, okay, maybe at the end of the first year, I'm going to apply for Erasmus or some other funding
Ah.
change. My plan
Mm.
was only for 1 year. So I checked the amount of money I had with me. I checked the
Yes.
estimated what I was going to spend to survive as a first year master student in France, and I saw that I could show that.
Mm.
So I have always
Okay.
had savings.
All
I
right.
just use my
So
savings to cover the cost.
good. So if I understand quite well, it means you calculated your expenses for the first year of masters. Maybe before we even continue, can you explain about the different masters in France? Like, okay, the M1 master, the M2. Maybe it's possible to start from M1 or probably possible to start from
Okay.
M2.
Okay. I'm going to start by explaining the undergraduate days of studying in France. When you study
Mm.
here in France, you do what is called license. So the license is 3 years. You do license one, license two, license three. So
Mm-hmm.
after that, you are qualified to do a master one and then a master two. But because we as Nigerians, when we study in the university, we study for a bachelor's degree, which is usually
Yeah.
4 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So ordinarily, the 4 or 5 years is equivalent to license one, license two, license three, and master one.
Yes.
As someone coming from Nigeria with a bachelor's degree, you can apply for a master two directly because they believe that what you are holding or the certificate you have is equivalent
Mm-hmm.
to all of these four levels, which is equivalent to master one.
Mm.
But for me, I applied to master one directly because I felt
Yeah.
already rusty, so I needed to brush myself up. That's why I did not go to master two. There are a lot of people that came
Mm.
from other countries with a bachelor's degree and then they applied directly to master two. So you can do a
Master two.
particular course in master one and then do
Mm-hmm.
something completely different in master two.
Mm.
Because for me
Mm.
now, I applied for master one. After finishing master one, I had to choose the kind of master two that I wanted to do, apply for it, and then get admitted.
Yeah. So it means if you get admitted for master one, you will be spending 2 years for the masters.
Yes,
So then for him to, if you get admitted for him to, you'll be spending 1 year for the masters.
yes.
Yeah. So another question, I don't know your opinion. Is it possible if let's say I do master one in one university, let's say like Université Paris Saclay, can I do the master two in another university
Yeah, yeah. That's
in
very, very
in
possible.
other? Oh,
That's very,
okay.
very possible. There are a lot of my friends that finished the master one with us. Many of them went to different schools in France to do their master two. That's why I said master one and master two, even though at the end of the day, they are both going to be regarded as a master's degree. They are quite,
Yeah.
in a lot of programs, they are very, very distinct. They are very, very separate. There are
Yes.
programs that have master one and master two directly intertwined in them, but a lot of
Yes.
the programs we have here in France, you do master one and then you decide which master two you want to do and which school you want to do your master two.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's a very good clarification. So the next part is because previously we started with financials. So during the education, were they prices? Like for instance, probably when you arrived, you saw that, oh, my calculation were not right, or my calculation were right, maybe as part of the accommodation and everything. And also, if there were any surprises, how did you try to deal with that? Did you receive any support from the school, or probably you work or something like this? So
Well, okay.
maybe you can help us
I'll
to.
try to answer the question one by one because that's like a four in one.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
First, um, I wouldn't have had surprises, but I did because Université Paris Saclay is a very, very big university
Hmm.
and it has a lot of satellite campuses.
Yeah.
Initially, my plan was for the main campus. I did not really know that
Hmm.
my institution was in the satellite campus. So when I got here, it was not possible for me to take the cheap accommodation because it was very, very far to my own campus. The campus was like 2 hours away from the supposed cheap accommodation.
Oh,
So, that a bit it disrupted my plan a lot because I could not take a 170 euro accommodation when I would be traveling 2 hours to go in the morning, 2 hours to return in the evening.
please, I'm very sorry to cut you.
Mhm.
Can you give like an estimate? Maybe we can be putting like equivalent, maybe like, okay, equivalent of this in naira, or what do you think? Is it appropriate or something like this? So that
Equivalent,
people can really have the feeling.
okay, of the
eh,
170 euros.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe like
Okay,
equivalent is like, let's say, 300,000 naira or something like this,
o-
you know?
okay, okay. Well, the exchange rate is rubbish
It's
now.
different. Yeah, yeah.
As at
Mhm.
then,
So
like
we can put
706
it.
something then
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
yeah. It's like
So
it's like almost triple.
almost triple. Yeah, so it's like almost triple. But now the 170 euros now is like 300,000
Yeah,
naira, as you
yeah,
as you rightly said.
yeah.
But the thing about accommodation here in France is that the the range or the average cost of accommodation really varies based on the location.
Mm,
Fortunately and unfortunately for me, the location that my school is situated in, which is the Starlight campus where I receive my lecture, is an
yeah.
expensive neighborhood.
Wow.
So it was not possible for me to find something of 170 in that locality.
Mm,
I think the minimum, or let me say the average range of accommodation per month in this neighborhood is like 300 or 350
wow.
compared to 170 that was close to the main campus.
Yeah, it's completely different.
Yeah, so that was what thwarted my plan. If I had
Mm,
gotten a 170 euro plan, a 170 euro accommodation as I planned, it would have been seamless.
yeah.
But it got affected. And then how did I adapt? Okay. Well, the point is
Mm,
when when something like that happens to human beings, what I expect personally, and that's what I did, is for you to also change. What I had in mind
mm,
initially was very, very different. The kind of lifestyle I wanted to live when I was coming here was very different. But because my plan
mm,
changed and then I did not have extra money, I had to change my plan. I had to change my lifestyle. I had to try to cut cost as much as possible. I had to cut a lot of cost. A lot of things that I was supposed to do, I had to cancel all of them because I needed to.
yeah.
I planned only with what I had with me. I didn't put it in my mind I was going to get help from any organization or any from maybe the institution. No, no, no. I planned with what I have and I survived.
Mm-hmm.
Although at the
Yeah.
end, I found out that there are organizations that give you foodstuffs every week.
Mm-hmm.
I found organizations that when you have issues with your house rent or you have issues with your finances, you can talk to them and then they
Yeah.
would give you money. I also enjoyed that. I I talked to them during my first year. They gave me some money. I also talked to them during my second year, and they gave me some money.
Yeah. So, okay, maybe I have like two follow-up questions. The first one
Okay.
is how to say, did for your visa, are you allowed to work? And also, is it very easy to find a job? Or if it's easy, what are the pros and cons of finding a job in France and also as a student and everything? So,
Okay.
and
Well,
also, did you try to work outside your studies?
Okay. Okay. First, uh, based on the student visa that I was given, I had the opportunity
Mm,
to work 20 hours per week.
mhm,
The second question is if it is easy to find a job here in France. The blatant truth is that it is not easy, simply because
mm,
of the language. If you speak the language very, very well, it will be a bit easier compared to someone that does
mm,
not even understand the language at all. So I would say it's a bit easier to find a job. I did not try to find a job, one, because I could not speak the language, and
mm.
second, because I
Okay.
wanted to focus on my studies,
Mm,
and third, because I had savings and it was not exhausted
yeah.
at that time. So and it was even
So
impossible for me to to work at that time. I was spending
mhm,
4 hours in transport every day, so it was not possible for
yeah.
me. There was not even time to work. I had a lot of things to study, so I did not try to find a job at all in my first year.
Yeah. Okay.
I was
First.
focused on my
Okay.
academics.
Because yeah, maybe this session will also be divided because there will be some information about the second year as well. So I
Okay.
don't know, but anyway, we can continue. Okay, another important part is that what are the kind of support? Because previously you said okay, you received some support. What are the because one thing I noticed is that for people on scholarship, they don't really know what people that are self-paying, they don't really know what they pass through. You get what I'm trying to say? Because for instance, you cannot compare a student that receives like 1,000 euros per month to a student that doesn't receive any money. So those kind of students, they are more likely to know some information that others don't know. So what are the kind of support that you think is available for students in France that most people don't really know about?
Okay. Well, first, um, I'm going to give kudos to France because yeah, I don't want to say it is very, very easy, or I would say it is relatively easy to survive
Mm,
as a self-paying student here in France compared to other
mm,
countries like the UK, the US, and so on.
mm,
Because here, for example, if you are a student and you are renting an apartment,
mhm,
there is a government parastatal called CAF that pays
mm.
you some amount of your rent every month. Although that applies to scholarship students also, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that someone that's not a scholarship student would appreciate it more than
Exactly.
someone scholarship student. So first you have that. Second, there are a lot of organizations that they give you foodstuffs so
Mm,
much that you might not even spend more than 20 euros additionally on feeding
mm.
every, in fact even 10 euros.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 euros, 15 euros, because you go 4 times a month. And then there are some organizations that they do it, they give out foodstuffs bi-weekly. There are some that give out foodstuffs on a monthly basis. So
Mm.
collecting all of these things, at the end of the day, you discover that you have almost everything in your house. You just need to buy
Wow.
a very few things to augment what you have. So that alone, it went a long way for me.
Yes. What
Long way.
about what about for transport? Is
Yeah,
there any benefit
for
for
transport also,
transport?
there are a lot of ways to cut the transport expenses.
Mm,
Normally, the payment of the transport is like 80 something euros, which is like 150,000 a month.
mm.
But
Okay.
when you apply for something called CMUC, which is medical coverage, it gives you
Okay.
75% off that 150,000.
Oh,
So when you get
wow.
75% off, I remember then I paid for the full year.
Oh,
Then I did not have the issue because it was part of my plan. It was part of my projected expenses.
oh.
When
Oh,
I
oh,
came into
oh,
the
oh,
country, I paid for it directly.
oh.
I paid for.
So I have another. What about the health benefit? Because now we've seen that there are a lot of benefits, housing benefits. We also have like feeding benefits. We also have
Mhm.
transportation benefits. And what about the health benefits? Like because let me just try to put some perspective to this. In the US, for instance, I have had some people tell me about the medical stuff in US. For instance, a friend told me that I think during Ramadan, hot water, when he was trying to prepare a bath during Ramadan, you know what happened? I think hot water splashed on his body. So he had to go to the hospital. And for that, he said he spent $800 just to like treat himself in the hospital. Another case, there is a guy, also my friend, he told me, not that they told me, he told me himself that I think he had problem with his ear. So the doctor had to do some maybe like a very small operation for him. So the doctor told him that, oh, for this type of thing, if you are going to enter the theater room, I am going to like you are going to pay something around $5,000. But if you can allow me to operate you in my office, in this my office, you can pay something like $2,000. So and the guy paid $2,000 just to do like perform little operation. So what are like the health benefits, or how can you explain the health
Okay.
stuff
Okay.
in France? Yeah.
Thank you for that question because I really like it. First, um, so far so good. As I said, one of the country that has the best social service is France, if not the
Yes.
best in you, because like yeah, if not the best in Europe. As I have mentioned earlier, all of these benefits are all social. We also have
Yeah.
health benefits, although I didn't really have very detailed information about it during my first year.
Mm,
But in France here, just as a resident of France, whenever
mm.
you visit the doctor or do anything or buy drugs with prescription, okay,
Yes.
let me call it medicine, drugs, or drugs
Yeah,
here
yeah.
mean
In fact, let me just add this little thing. Yesterday, I was discussing with my colleague. So we're discussing about hospital, and I said, "Oh, did the doctor give you any drug?" So in my mind, I wanted to say it in French because en français c'est médicament. So I was like, "No, no, no, drug." So the guy was not laughing that, "No, I don't buy any drug." I was like, "Oh, sorry." That in Nigeria we mostly call this drug. So,
drug. Yeah. So
mm,
as as a resident of France, once you have what is called the carte vitale, which is the
yeah,
health card, if you go to the
yes,
doctor or
mm-hmm,
buy prescribed drugs at the pharmacy, you get
yes,
around 70 or 60% off, or
off,
70 or
mm,
60% reimbursement
yes,
normally. So for everybody, either you have scholarship or not, you get this offer first. That's why I said maybe France has the best social service in France, in Europe. I don't know about every other place in the world. Furthermore,
mm,
if you now apply for what is called the CMUC, as I mentioned earlier, the
yeah,
CMUC would cover this transport reduction. It will also give you 100% coverage. Are you with me?
yeah, yeah, yeah. There was
It will
just
also give you 100% coverage on all your medical interventions that are not
oh,
cosmetic. That
oh,
are not cosmetic. If you have the
mm,
CMUC now and you go to the doctor, you don't pay anything. If the doctor prescribes some drug to you, you go to the pharmacy to collect those drugs, you don't pay anything. If the doctor asks you to do some tests and then you go to the laboratory, you don't pay
yeah,
anything. And what what
mm,
what 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 do you need to apply for the CMUC?
yes,
Practically nothing.
yeah. I
Practically
can't
nothing.
hear.
Practically
Practically what?
nothing.
Ah,
You don't
okay.
need anything to apply for the CMUC.
Oh,
You don't need to tell them that this is who you are. You are a student. This, that. you are not earning any money, or this is the amount of money you are earning. There is a cap. I think
Mm.
25,000, or I can't remember the cap. If you are earning less than that, you can be covered by the CMUC.
Oh,
So
that's
like it made life really, really easy. Although, as I mentioned earlier, one of the difficulties of being in France as an international student is the
yes.
language. This
Mm.
CMUC opportunity, I did not explore it fully during my first year
Mm.
because I did not have detailed information about it. I remember
So
during my
yeah.
first year, I did not visit a doctor at all because I thought it was
Oh.
going to be very, very, very expensive. I thought that I could get reduction. I didn't get my card vital until maybe like second year or the end of the first year because I didn't know.
Mm. Okay, so I think that's a very good summary about the benefits in France from the accommodation, from the transportation, the health, also the social benefits like feeding and everything. So now we are moving to the part of daily lives. But I think the most important thing is the academic because that's why you are coming to France. So
Mm-hmm.
for the academics and cultural part, because I think that's also very important. Maybe we should start from the cultural part. So what can you say about the transition from Nigeria to France, specifically for your first year in terms of the culture, the lifestyle, and academics generally? So
Well, in terms of the culture, I would say that it was very difficult for me to integrate, or let me say, I did not even integrate at all because I did not understand the language. So I cannot really tell you a lot about their culture. I was just in
yeah.
isolation trying to figure out my life. But in terms of um
In terms
in
of
terms of
lifestyle.
lifestyle, compared to Nigeria, it was very, very, very different. It was very strange because in Nigeria we kind of live in an unstructured terrain, kind of.
Mm,
You can get the bus anytime you want. You can get an interstate bus anytime you want. You can go to the park anytime you want, and the bus is always
yeah.
available.
Yes.
Train is always available for you. But here in France, or let me say in more civilized country, everything is programmed.
Yeah.
So you have to fit yourself into the program. It's not possible for you to say, okay, this is when I want to leave home, and then I will immediately get a bus when I go outside, or I'll immediately get a train when I go outside. No, the bus is timed, the train is timed, the metro is timed, everything is timed. So
Mm,
it was very difficult for me at the beginning to fit into this kind of lifestyle because once you are late for 1 minute, you lose like 20 minutes before
mm.
the next bus or the next train comes. So it was a lifestyle shock for me, and I had to adjust.
So what about
Oh,
in terms of academics?
yeah, in terms of academics, the blatant truth is that it's more rigorous than Nigeria. Here they
Mm,
push you to the extreme, to the end of your abilities with crazy deadlines and tasks,
mm,
which is actually what I wanted. It's actually why I chose this school because I believe that when I am pushed to that situation, I tend to discover new things about
mm.
myself and then see and then expand my capabilities in
So,
school.
what would you say is the most surprising aspect of studying in France? Maybe compared to Nigeria, also probably compared to other countries. What is
You
something
see,
that you feel like
the
it's
most the most
surprising?
surprising when I was coming to France, although they told me that it was going to be rigorous, I didn't expect it to be as this rigorous. The most surprising thing is that we used to go to classes or we used to have lectures from Monday till Friday, 8:30 to 6:30. Schedules that
Wow.
we did not even have as undergraduates. So the idea of doing the masters, you feel like, oh, I just need to go to classes maybe once a week or twice a week maximum, compared to UK where maybe majority have their classes once or twice a week. Here it's not like that. You have your classes 4 hours at a stretch from morning till evening every day.
Wow.
So it was really strange because I expected to be rigorous as I said, but not up to that level.
Mm.
It was not even possible. It was not easy to work because you go to classes every day. It's not
Yeah.
like okay, I go to lectures for 2 days and then I'm going to use the remaining 3 days to work. No.
For
And if you want to work
sure.
during the weekend even, you already have a lot of tasks.
For sure. For sure. In fact, it reminds me of one of my friend. He's Senegalese, so of course he speaks French, and he was able to find a job. So the job he found was to deliver pizza in the night for Domino's. Now, during the winter, I could remember because then the work was so rigorous. So I had to, like, even, of course, my accommodation was not even far from the school, but I still have to move closer to the school, like maybe like few steps away from the school. So I was staying with him. And now I could remember that during probably we both finished the class at let's say 6 p.m. So already everybody is tired, but you still have to go and work because you have to like search for little money to pay the accommodation and everything. So of course that is where the planning that you mentioned previously, that okay, before you came to France, you try to plan for the 1 year, so that of course if there is going to still be some surprises, at least you'll be able to still cater for it at least. But in his own case, there's nothing like this. So it depended on trying to find money in France as he is studying. So in the night, he's going to go out to deliver pizza for like 2 hours. I could remember whenever he returns around 11 p.m. Oh la 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 la. He will be so the only two things he does is once he returns, have his bath. The next step is to go and sleep. And overall, it affected his academic performance in the first year. He was unable to validate the first year. Also in Paris Saclay Central Supply. So, so that really buttresses your point about that. You will not even have time to work for the first year specifically. It's because it's really rigorous. So now, for the next part is about your personal growth and achievements. So, how has studying in France shaped your perspective and also your life and career goals?
Well, I'm glad that I made the decision of coming to France to study
Mm.
because you know I would not want to bastardize the education system in Nigeria,
Yeah,
but I would
yeah.
say that while I was studying in Nigeria, I was
Mm,
studying without essence.
mm,
And then for me, or what I feel is most important when teaching people, especially nowadays when professors can easily be replaced by large language
mm.
models, artificial
Yeah.
intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
What I feel that is most important is telling students the essence of what they are learning. It's not just about calculus, about derivatives, about huge formulas. It's not about that. It's not about
Mm.
that. It's really about why are you learning what you are learning? When you learn
Mm.
this thing, what will you be able to do?
Good.
You get my point. I did not really have that essence. Maybe I did not have the right mentorship in Nigeria because I know some of my friends that as a result of having the right mentor,
Mental.
they got essence.
Mm.
For me, I did not get essence. I was doing well in class. I go to lectures. I had very good grades, excellent grades.
Yeah.
Uh, I did not. I did not know why I was doing what I was doing. I did not know what I was going to use it for.
Mm.
So one thing I have learned here is it's very easy for you to find essence to what you are doing here.
Mm.
It's very,
Mm.
very the professor that you are
Mm.
working, the professor that is teaching you, he has a research lab
Yes.
where he is applying what he's teaching you in class. But what the
Exactly.
professor you are working with has companies that he is consulting with. What the professor you are working with is already a staff of a company.
Mm.
So you know that when he is teaching you, he's not teaching you theory. He's not teaching you so that you can be a mathematics guru or a calculation guru. No.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I'm doing the PhD I'm doing now is because what I want to do is something I want to apply, and people are waiting to see it
Yeah.
work.
Yes.
It's not that I
Mm.
want to put one theorem and say, oh la la, I put 1 million theorems or no, 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 no. I know why I want to do what I do. If I am solving any equation, I know what I want to get out of it. If I am writing
Mm.
any code, I know what I want to get out of it. That I think
Mm.
was a kind of missing during my um, bachelor's journey in Nigeria. And I have found it here. I have a
Mm.
clear view of what I want to do in life. I have a clear view of the career that is possible. So for
Mm.
me, this is one of the most important impacts that coming to France has had on me.
That's really a good summary of your perspective on your life and career goals. So now another thing I would really like to ask is what are your proudest moments during your master's program? Maybe the first year or the second year.
Well, I had a lot of challenging moments, a lot of
Mm.
shaky moments because I finished from Lautech as a first class student. In fact,
Yeah.
when I was not offered scholarship here, I came to France with the mindset of proving them wrong. Like
Mm.
I sent the mail to the coordinator then that why wasn't I offered a scholarship? And he said they were better
Wow.
students. So I was surprised, like
Wow.
better students? Okay, let's wait and see. But when I got here, I was extremely rusty. I mentioned that I was a businessman for 2 years.
Yes.
I came to France. I did not know that I had already forgotten everything I learned in Lautech.
Mm.
And don't forget, I learned them without essence. So when you really
Yes.
learn without essence, it's very, very easy for you to forget it.
Mm.
So when I came here, I was very rusty. I had bad grades
Wow.
by my own standard. By my
Yes.
they are not bad
Yeah.
grades. My own
Yeah.
standard.
Of course. No, it's like their grades enough to pass. Like people say,
Yeah,
okay, you
sure.
pass,
I validated my
but
year.
okay.
I was not the lowest in a class. No, I validated
Yeah.
my year. I was not the lowest in class. But by my standard, it was the worst result of my life. By my standard. So, but what I really like about myself is that I have this tenacity, I have this dedication, I have this doggedness when I want to achieve something. So I didn't give up. And my proudest moment is that I went from having low grades to having the highest possible grade, even amidst scholarship students. I had that growth,
Wow.
that linear growth.
Yeah.
So I was growing. I shouldn't call it linear. I should call it exponential.
Exponential. Yeah,
I should not
exactly.
call it, I should not call it linear because I would say it's a result of my hard work, but definitely the blessing of Almighty God.
Mhm.
I am really proud that those that saw me as weak student also saw me as an excellent student.
Mhm.
This is the
Wow.
proudest moment. Majority of my lecturers, some doctoral students that were teaching us then saw me as who is this very, very weak guy. He cannot even integrate it. But now those same set of people celebrated me.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
So
my proud.
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, maybe I should have asked this question before the other one, but of course it's the way I arrange it doesn't really matter. So another question is, were there any period or time, especially during the first year, you felt like giving up? Like you felt like, oh, what have I done to myself or something like this?
A lot of times, I must confess, I felt
Wow.
I had this feeling countless number of times
Wow.
especially in my first year, because you know nothing was working. I
Hmm.
mentioned that I was a businessman. My plan was that
Yeah.
I would continue my business from here.
Mm,
That did not work. The
mm.
business collapsed. I was
Wow.
traveling 2 hours to school every morning. I traveled two
Wow.
hours in the morning. I returned 2 hours in the evening. I was not even understanding anything in class.
Wow.
At some point during my first year, I could not focus. I could not do simple addition in my first year.
Mm,
There was a time I was talking to my friend and I think I was saying something like 30 plus 7, 33. And I did not know I was saying something wrong. I was saying 30 plus 7, 37, 30, 33.
mm,
And I did not know that I was saying the wrong answer. My friend had to tell me,
mm.
Sherif, what is wrong with you? 30 plus 7, 33. I'm not trying to give you
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not trying
I
to narrate.
understand
I'm not
you.
trying to give you what actually happened is what I am saying now. The problem was the
Wow.
addition. It's not like I'm trying to give you a
Mm.
similar situation of what
Yeah, yeah,
happened. No, it was me adding two numbers, two simple numbers, 30 plus 3. I think it's the other 30. I know 30 was there. I was not sure if it's plus 3 or plus 7, but I was adding those two numbers and I was saying the wrong answer. And I did not
wow.
even know that my answer was wrong. For you to know how low I reached in my in my but I was able to overcome that with a lot of prayers and also having wonderful people around, wonderful
Mm,
people like you, like my friend Alifatik, and also my other friend Adebola Oluwaseyi.
mm,
So these people, they told me their struggles, they motivated me, they told me they reassured me, they gave me
mm.
reassurance. They told me that the phase would pass
Yeah.
because I know these people are equally good. So if they had this kind of phase also, and then they survive I, I believe that I would be able to survive it then.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, I survived it. I remember there was a time I was coming from school at night. I was in the bus, and then I was crying. I started crying in the public transport. I'm a strong man. I don't cry in public. But for me to have done that, I
You
was
should
tired.
know that. Wow.
I was tired.
Yeah.
So if you are going through anything at the beginning of the transition, it's not that you are not good enough. It's not that you don't deserve to be where you are. It's just that you are growing, you are evolving. Yeah.
Thank you so much. In fact, it has a backup question, and for sure, you already provided response to the question already. So, because I wanted to ask, how did you stay motivated? But you already mentioned your support system and everything. And just to like add little thing, in fact, in France, when you just arrive, all these things are very common. Even if you are the best of the best, I've seen, like my friend was telling me, we stayed together in the apartment. So he was telling me that there was a guy from MIT. So he came to, because in some universities in US, they will give you opportunity to go abroad, like undergraduate, to study for 1 semester. So he picked Central Supilec to do the 1 semester. The guy, I think the guy failed like two courses, probably in nuclear engineering or something like this. The guy was like, "Oh no, how is it possible that he cannot fail or something like this?" My friend told him that, oh boy, this is France, so yeah, yeah, they don't care about if you are coming from the best university in the world. You'll be challenged for sure. You'll be challenged for sure. I could remember that then because usually I always want to sit just very close to the lecturer so pay attention. I remember then we used to do transport phenomena. So, for instance, and I'm somebody that when the lecturer asks question, I always like to respond to questions or something like this. So when he asked the question, he said, so he was asking questions sometimes, most of the times, all my answers completely wrong. So the professor would just say, "Oh no, 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 Nademola, you are wrong, you are wrong." Another guy from the back will just raise up his hand and say the correct answer every time. I'm always feeling like, oh no, it seems I'm very dumb. it seems I'm very dumb. Like, because I used to feel like, well, is Now, what really humbled me was that these students, they are not, we are not of the same level. Like, because my master courses, we are doing it with undergraduate students. So it appears that the first year undergraduate students are even very good or much better than somebody in the master level. Like, because I do the courses with undergraduate, and I'm always thinking when I'm going on that, how is it possible that these students are able to understand all this complex stuff? So from there, I had to like, oh, sit tight and everything. Even I remember the professor was saying on the first day of the class, after the class, he told me when I wanted to open the door and go home, he said, make sure you prepare for the exam very well because the exam will be difficult. That was what he told me. Like first day of class, I was just thinking that the exam will be difficult. It is not possible. But lo and behold, the exam was difficult. Like I remember, maybe I'm still prolonging the session, but I really want to share it. Now, I remember during that particular exam, because in now tech now, if they give us answer our question, first 30 minutes, you have already finished like 3 pages, like extra.
Yeah.
You will even be about to say extra sheet. For the first time in my life, I'm writing an exam that nobody was writing something for 30 minutes. It was strange to me that you give me exam question, you don't need to write, just use the first 30 minutes to understand all the questions. But for me, coming from Nigeria for the first time, I was like, okay, let me see the question and just start. So I couldn't do it. I was very afraid. I was very sad that, oh, am I going to fail my first exam? Like, I was checking other people and I saw them. In fact, the students were putting their pen like this, like they were just reading and just laughing. Some of them were just laughing in the exam and everything. So it really puts into perspective how challenging the first year can be. And even some of my friends, I remember that my Senegalese, I remember when we prepared for the exam, it was like during before the exam, because I used to explain to them. When we finished the exam, even me that was explaining to them, we could not talk after the exam. Like we were just going home without saying anything because I know that, oh, all what we prepared for was completely different. And yeah, I was just fortunate to get the pass mark, like the pass mark for that course. I was fortunate to just get the pass mark. But come and see a lot of receipts, like 50% how to receipt the class. But I was just and the reason why I passed was because of the continuous assessment. It was the continuous assessment that boosted my grade to the pass mark. So imagine that kind of situation. So I think in the first year, it's like very normal to be demotivated in France in general. So yeah, so I think we should continue.
Yeah.
Now, the next question I'll be asking is what advice do you have for people coming to France to study? I'm not talking about scholarship students. I'm talking about self-financing students. What advice do you have for them?
Advice number one is make sure you have a lot of money before you do that.
Hmm,
Advice number two is that plan accordingly. Look for someone that is a self-paying student in France to tell
hmm,
you all of the expenses to the
hmm,
last one
hmm,
and then evaluate it with what you have.
hmm,
Number three is that do not include jobs in your plan. I am not saying you should not work
hmm,
when you get, but don't
hmm,
put the money that you will get from working, don't put it into what you would use to survive.
hmm,
Number four is that do not pick schools with expensive tuition. This place
hmm.
is not UK. In UK, you
Like,
can with
yes.
17,000 pounds and then you will survive, you will pay it. Here, you pay through your nose. So I advise you.
Wow.
One of the reasons why it was a bit easier for me was because my school fees was 243 euros, close to
Three
not paying
euros.
anything. But if you speak schools that
Yes.
require you to pay like 5,000, 7,000, 10,000, 12,000, I know a lot of people that pay
Hmm.
that chose those kind of schools. And then when they got here, they had to change to French school. They could not pay it. They could not afford it. They thought they did not get the right information from people when they were in Nigeria. They had the
mm,
mindset that, oh, if people in UK can pay 12,000, then you can pay 12,000 in France
mm,
also. No, no,
mm.
no. So
So yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very good advice, especially the
and
I think
last
all the whole advices
sorry, one
are
last
very good.
advice. One last advice.
Okay.
When you finally reach this place, make sure that you integrate into the environment very, very fast.
Mm,
Very, very
mm,
fast. There are a lot of Nigerian communities here in France. Integrate with them and then try to ask them for a lot of ideas on how to survive as a self-paying student. So they will give you a lot of tips, a lot of places to get money, a lot of places to get assistance, a lot of places to get reductions. There, as I said, maybe France has the
mm,
best social service in Europe. But if you are
mm,
not well
mm.
integrated into the society, you cannot benefit from these social services.
Wow. So I think that's very nice. In fact, I was about to say what are the strategies, resources, tips of that that you can do in France of saving money. But I think at the middle of the video, we already discussed about all the opportunities you can have by
Mhm,
studying in France, and we've really explained about that.
yeah.
So, so majorly, it's about a benefit for transportation, for feeding, and also for the health, and lastly for the accommodation. So we already discussed that. So another one is now, what do you currently do after completing your master's degree? What do you currently do? Yeah.
Currently, I am a PhD researcher in the same
Okay.
university, the same department with one of my with the coordinator of my masters on fully sponsored scholarship.
Okay.
So I started
Wow.
my PhD October 2024, and it's gonna take me 3 years to finish it, 3 or 4 years to finish it.
Mm. So,
And I'm here in
um,
at least 4 years.
so now you also works on robotics for the
Yeah, yes.
PhD. What type of robotics is it?
Uh, in my lab, we work on humanoid robots.
Oh, so what
Robots are
like the function? Like what's like the
humanoid
goal?
robots. Humanoid robots are robots that look exactly like human, that have the capabilities of human.
Wow.
So, number one thing is that these robots will be able to do what humans can do.
Mm,
However, if you look at the trend of humanoid robots that have been released, you will see them to be not very powerful. The way they work,
mm,
if you check Optimus released by Tesla, it works very slowly and all of those
yeah.
things. In our lab,
Mm-hmm.
we are working on dynamic robots, robots that are
Wow.
very powerful, robots that can push a car, robots
Wow.
that can run very fast. So we
Mm,
call them dynamic robots, robot that can do backflips.
wow.
So
Yeah, I
this
think
is what eh?
I said recently I was seeing in China. I don't know if you know Speed. So I think it was like streaming. So he showed some robot which is able to dance. I think
Yeah,
even for the Tesla robot, it can't. I don't think that robot can
yeah,
dance. But for this particular one, but unfortunately the robot broke down. The robot
yeah.
broke down while dancing. So
That's the unitary robot. That
it's
is the
what?
unit. It's called the unitary robot.
Ah, okay, okay,
There is a
okay.
Chinese robotics company called Unitary.
Ah,
They are really
okay.
rolling out a lot of robots. They are powerful to some extent, but not the kind of power that we are envisaging.
Right. Ah, okay, okay, okay. So now I want to ask a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. I want to ask a question. So now the experience after your PhD degree, the experience from this that you are going to gain, or the competency you are going to gain from this, means you can really fit into different companies, like let's say manufacturing companies or industrial companies that they use robots to build their system, maybe like car manufacturing industries where they use robots to assemble cars or something like this. Do you think you are able to gain that type of competency to work
Well,
in all the
um, okay, I get your question, but
yeah,
maybe that's not really what's gonna fit me because what I am working on, I am contributing.
yes,
Like the field of robotics is a big umbrella. It has electrical
wow,
engineering, it has mechanical engineering, it has control systems engineering, it has computer
oh,
system, it has computer science, it has artificial intelligence, it has all of these fields
yeah,
intertwined. When you want to build a robot,
yeah,
that's why we call people that build robots, we really call them mechatronics engineer because they have expertise in all of these fields that I have mentioned. So what I am really
ah,
focused on, I am the control guy. I work
okay,
controlling mechanisms of the robot.
yes,
So
mm,
as much as it will still be possible for me to fit into the space that you have described, my localization
yes,
is in companies that build robots. So they give me
wow,
the mechanism, they have built the
mm,
robot. Okay, they want it to do this particular motion, they want it to do this particular
not
motion,
something,
and then they
ah,
give it to me. And then I
good,
implement control algorithms with ROS and then make it do what they want it to do. After it has been defined
wow,
by the mechanical engineer that this robot
mm,
will be able to go do this motion, do this motion, do this motion. They have respected all the mechanical constraints that are required for the robot to be able to do the motion. Now my job is to now give it control algorithms that would
again, okay,
make it have the ability to do that exact motion
that function,
in
mm,
conjunction with the embedded systems engineer.
this is good. Yeah, because this section is also very important because you never can tell. Maybe companies will see this video and they'll be interested in what you are really doing. So mm, I think we still have other questions. Maybe we're already moving closer to the end.
Mm.
So one question I would like to ask is, what are like the key lessons you've learned during your stay in France, or probably as a combination of all your experience in France so far?
Well, the the first key lesson I am going to mention is that um, I have discovered that I have
Mm,
a lot of capabilities.
mm,
When you go through what I went through, you rediscover yourself.
yeah.
You become more accountable to yourself.
Mm,
You become more in charge of your life. So
mm,
coming abroad, where you are alone, where you have to make all of the decisions for yourself,
mm,
it pushes you to broaden your horizon of thinking.
mm,
So I was a man when I was in Nigeria, yes, but we have our family around us. We had our
yeah.
family around us and all of those things. I was already in my father's house was in Ibadan. If I needed assistance, if I needed someone to talk to, if I needed somewhere to sleep, if I needed anything, I could
Yeah.
just go to my family directly. But when you are in a country where the closest person to you
Mm.
is like 8 hours away by train, you can't just wake up one
So,
evening and say, I'm going there to go and talk to this person. I'm going there to go.
exactly.
I'm going there to go and rest. I'm going there to go and unwind.
Yeah.
So, as I said, France has or coming here has taught me indirectly or subconsciously how to take charge of my situation completely.
So okay. So another question is that, what are you going to say to someone that is really planning to study like in France, or they dream of studying abroad in general. So, what would you like to say to inspire them to pursue these kind of opportunities?
to pursue my kind of a self-paying opportunity or
No, no, no,
scholarship.
no. I mean, like people that dream to study abroad, maybe they are still hesitating because I remember then there are people, even during the time you had the admission, there are some people that's still like, oh, should I go for this or should I still continue my job or something like this? So, what can you say to like inspire them? Maybe not to convince them, because at the end, people will do what they want to do. Maybe just to inspire them of studying abroad in general. So, not
Okay.
necessarily about maybe self financing, or probably we should link it to self financing, like to inspire somebody that wants to spend his money on self financing in Europe or in France.
Well, um, my mantra of life is that anything worth doing is worth doing well.
Mm,
So, in as much as I know that anything I decide to do, I will do it very well. What I really
mm,
spend a lot of my time doing is deciding if that thing is worth doing.
mm, mm,
So, I mentioned that I came to France because of this university, because of
yeah.
the rigor of the learning that they have here. So, I would
Mm,
advise that if you want to study abroad, if you're if you really want to make something, if it's not that you just want to leave your country. I did not leave Nigeria because I just wanted to leave the shores of Nigeria. No, I left Nigeria because I wanted to achieve something that this school would offer me.
mm,
So I would advise that if you want to go on a self-paying journey to study in any country, it is important for you not to be swayed by all other things that do not matter, which is okay,
mm,
maybe living abroad, snapping beautiful pictures, wearing jackets, going on vacations. All of these things will happen irrespective of the country you go to. But the most
yeah.
important thing, the academics that you want to spend your money on should be
Mm,
very quality, should be
mm,
your main consideration to me, because the quality of whatever you learn abroad is what will open doors for you. If you
mm,
go to universities that are not well ranked or that are not well versed in knowledge or in the field that you want to pursue, you might end up graduating with a certificate that is not very different from the one you have or
uh,
the one you
mm,
got from Nigerian universities.
yeah.
You should go to universities that would give you a run for your money. So when you stand up anywhere to talk and then you say, I finished from this particular university, people will acknowledge that,
Mm,
okay, this person must have been really trained. There are a lot of companies that once they hear that you are from a particular university, they don't even do a lot of interview for you. They know you are
mm,
good for you to have survived.
mm, mm,
Université Paris
mm,
Saclay is one of them here in France.
yeah.
So
That's a very, yeah, that's a very good inspiration. So I have three final questions, and at the end we are going to move to the question in the chat. If we have people currently watching us, ensure you put your question in the chat. So, and I'm going to also the our invited guest is also seeing the questions, maybe. So, but I will also read out the questions we have in the live chat. But for my final three questions, one, what are your favorite memory from your
I think
time
you should ask
in
one after the
France?
other. One
Yeah, yeah,
after the
one
other.
after the other. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What are
Okay.
your favorite memory from your time in France?
Well, well, I would say my best moment in France so far was my
Mm-hmm.
graduation that I had
Wow.
like 2 weeks ago.
Yes, I see. We saw it. We all saw
Yeah,
it.
I don't know. I felt this kind of internal joy.
Mm.
I was very happy.
Wow.
I was very happy because in those moments you reflect, you reminisce
Yes.
on what you have really went through. And then I looked at myself and said, Sharif, here you are today.
Mm,
as a PhD researcher. You came in
mhm.
as a very weak student, as a
Yeah,
doubting student, as a student that did not have any assurance of succeeding. But here
yeah,
you have graduating as an excellent
yeah.
student. So
That
it was
is,
really
yeah.
it was a very, very happy moment for me. It was a very, very happy moment for me. And then if I am to mention some other moments, I think
Yeah.
the other moment would be the first time I attended the Nigerian Hangout here.
Oh,
Because
yeah, yeah. I think you
I
mentioned.
mentioned that my first year was mostly in isolation with my friends, a couple of maybe 3 Nigerian friends. But when I
Yeah.
attended the first Nigerian Hangout and I saw over 100 Nigerians,
Wow.
like I was conversing with them in Yoruba, in Pidgin, it felt really different. It felt really, really different because it felt like home away from home.
Wow.
So those moments, they are moments that I really cherish.
Mhm. That's really a nice one here. That was really nice one. So to the second question, did you pick up any French habit, phrase, food that you now like? So do you have something that you pick up from the French people?
I'm going to start from the food part.
Okay.
You see, I think in Nigeria we don't really have a lot of varieties of food.
Yeah.
We don't really have a lot of varieties because there are some things that we don't even consider eating. We don't even
Mm,
think about. But here in France, they eat everything.
mhm.
So since I arrived in France, I have taken different kind of meals that I wouldn't have tried
Yeah,
when I was in
for,
Nigeria.
for sure.
So if I cook for you now, you will see some essence of France
The
in my
France,
food.
yeah.
Might not be like something cooked by an ordinary Nigerian. Might
Mhm.
cook something that, for example, when I was in Nigeria, I didn't used to eat cheese. I
Yeah.
got
I think it's rare for you to find people eating cheese.
eating
No.
cheese in Nigeria, but here you eat a lot of cheese. Okay, to eat a lot of cheese, you eat a lot of steak, you eat a lot of stuffs
Mm.
that are not really very common in Nigeria,
Mm.
or
Mm.
things that are for the high class in Nigeria.
Yes, exactly.
For example, in
Especially,
Nigeria,
yeah.
if you want to cook fried rice in Nigeria, you need a big
Mm-hmm.
budget.
Yes.
But here in France, you need zero
Mm-hmm.
budget fried rice. Yeah. So that's for the food. Also
Yes.
for the maybe not a lot because I try to
Mhm.
represent who I am and who I was before I came to France, and I've been trying to represent that up until now. So,
I don't get what you said. I did not get that.
like I'm saying, regarding French habits,
Ah,
I
okay,
don't
okay.
think that I have really taken any
A
of their
bit.
habits because
Yeah.
I am just integrating into the society. I am just integrating
Yeah.
into their community because I'm just learning the language. But I have not really taken a lot of things from their habits. And also
What
for
about
phrases,
phrases? Yes.
the common phrases. Like I remember when I first got to France,
Yeah.
I used to have people stop me on the road and start asking me questions, maybe asking for direction or stuff. So I had to go meet my French friends to teach me what it means to say how to say I don't know. I don't.
I don't.
So
Which version? Which version of I don't know do
the
you
easy
know?
version, je sais pas. You know the
Just
you know
like there's this guy that always sits with me, because if you reach like advanced level of French, you really see that the way they talk, they speak crazy. Like sometimes maybe somebody asks that, do you know where this person is? Do you know where they put this? It's going to Chopa, Chopa. Like every time I will just feel like, what's the meaning of Chopa? Oh, is it Josepa that the guy was saying Chopa, Chopa, Chopa every time Chopa, Chopa. Some even say pa, and that's all. Oh, that's not
yeah,
Josepa.
they do a
What
lot of
about
short.
Bonjour?
Bonjour, yeah, yeah. That's part of it.
Yes. I think out of all this 1 hour discussion, there's something that we did not discuss, and which is
Mhm.
about cruise food.
That's true. €1
I think,
reduction.
yeah, so I think you should speak about the cruise restaurant in the university as well.
Okay. Most universities, or let me say most big universities, they have cruise restaurants where
Mm,
they serve people lunch.
mm.
Normally, to buy a plate of meal in that place, it costs
Yes.
you €3.30 to buy a
Yeah.
plate of. But as a self-paying student, if you apply for reduction, they will reduce
Mm.
it to €1 for you.
Wow.
So for me, I got this benefit my first year and my second year.
Yeah. Wow.
So I spent €1 to eat quality food
Good. Wow.
every afternoon, every day,
Yeah.
Monday to Friday. So
Wow.
and that's good also because most times usually not able to cook in the morning. So
Mm-hmm.
once I don't
Mm-hmm.
cook in the morning, I just know that by 12 o'clock I will go to the restaurant. I will have quality meal, and then I will go home in the evening to have dinner.
Mm.
So one of the cheapest things. Okay, I think I should rank how easy it is to get some stuff,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
like in terms of food, in terms of. I think the cheapest thing here in France is food. If you are
Yes,
coming
I
to
think
France, if you
mostly
are coming to France as a non-scholarship student, I think one of the things that's going to give you the least issue is food.
it's the
If you are not a very, 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 very picky eater. Even if you are a
yeah.
very, very, very picky eater, you will see stuff like pasta, you will see stuff like rice, you will see stuff like mashed potatoes, and you will see a lot of fries.
Yeah.
You will see a lot of fries, even.
Um,
So yeah, so for food, it's very easy, very,
mhm.
very cheap. Transportation is not very, very cheap because you still have to pay, but for food, it's very
The
cheap. Health coverage, once you apply for CMUC, is very, very cheap. For accommodation, if you do the CAF simulation correctly, CAF can give
yeah,
you as high as 70% of your house rent.
something. Wow.
As I have people that are paying, I think 450 as house rent, and then they are getting 350 from CAF.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot. That's
A
a
lot of
lot.
money.
Wow. That's a lot.
A
So
lot of
now I think I was maybe one question again before the last question. Maybe let me tell you the last question so that probably you have to think about it. Maybe I should let me ask. The last question that you'll be answering last is if you could describe your journey in one word, what would it be and why? So that's the last question. But before this last question, I will ask another question. So the question is like, if I get a visa to come to France, can I go to other countries in Europe? Like maybe can I go
ah,
to Germany
we
or
did not
something
talk
like that?
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, when you get in the EU is European Union.
Yeah.
In the EU, we have countries that are in the Schengen area.
Yeah.
You get UK is part of the EU, but UK is not
Mhm.
part of the Schengen area.
It can be.
So when you get the visa of any country in the Schengen area,
Yeah.
automatically you can visit all of the Schengen areas.
Yes. Mm.
I got my visa for France. I went to Germany.
Yeah.
I could have gone to Luxembourg. I could have gone to Italy. I could have gone to Switzerland. I could have gone to Belgium. All of these countries, they are in the Schengen area. So the visa
Yes.
they give you is a Schengen visa hosted by France.
Mhm.
So, and
Yeah.
it's the transportation between this country. I was telling my friend then when I first got to France that I like the fact that everything is intertwined. Like,
Yeah.
definitely, France is a more powerful country than maybe a country like Luxembourg. You understand? Or a
Um,
country like Latvia,
mm,
for example. But they
mm,
have the same access. If you have a
nonsense. Yeah.
Latvia Schengen visa, you can enter France. If you have a
Yes.
French Schengen visa, you can enter Latvia
Mm,
or Luxembourg,
no,
all of those other.
no,
I told my friend
okay.
that I really like it, and then it's easy to find trains that interconnect all of these countries.
Mm,
Very
yes.
for 30 euros, for 40 euros, for 20 euros. In fact,
Yeah.
for 10 euros, you can get train that will take you
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
another.
Even boss. There is also boss.
That will take you to another.
Cheap flight. In fact, to be fair, I've seen before flight from I think from Paris to Manchester. The flight on Rainier it's 15 euros
Yeah,
from Paris to Manchester.
yeah.
Like I've seen
You see
because
on EasyJet
yeah,
also.
yeah, exactly.
You see
That.
EasyJet.
So for the final question,
Yeah, for the final
you want
question.
to
Okay. You
yeah
said that if I am to describe my experience in France at the end of the day in one word, I would say
in one word. What?
it's not really one word, just one phrase. I would say
Okay,
it was worth
that's fine. Hmm.
it was worth it
Yes.
because I decided to choose that phrase because my my journey here came with a lot of trials, but
Hmm.
the reward that I got at the end of the day, it was worth it.
Hmm.
Now um, I can travel to. Currently, I have a 3 years visa, a 3 years
Yeah.
visa that allows me to because it's a 3 years residence permit that allows me to travel
Hmm.
very easily. I have. I don't want to say I have special attention or I am in a place where I am now very important to this country because I am a PhD student.
Yeah. 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 Of
I
course.
am in a place
Yes.
where I'm very important to this country. So there are a lot of processes that, as a PhD student or a PhD graduate at the end of the day, that will be boycotted for me because I have a PhD.
Exactly.
So when I was in Nigeria, I mattered. Now I am in France. I also matter.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for the almost 1 hour, 30 minutes discussion. Thank you. I really learned a lot of things from all our discussion. So, in the
thank
chat, if you have any question that you want to ask, please make sure you ask this question and I'll be reading it up. But if you don't have any question, I think we just close the session. And probably when the video finish to load up, you can drop your comment and maybe we'll be providing answers to the comments or probably you like the video, make sure you comment. And also please make sure you subscribe to the channel because that's the motivation for doing something like this. Um there's one question in the chat which says, please, what university did you study in France? So
I studied at
maybe, mhm,
Université Paris Saclay.
okay, yeah. I really
Université
like how you
Paris.
pronounce Paris. I don't think I've ever pronounced it like that,
Why?
but I
That's how.
think it's the correct pronunciation. Yeah,
Yeah,
because of the arrow.
yeah, and then you don't pronounce the S.
Yeah, exactly.
Université Paris
Exactly.
Saclay.
Exactly. So yeah, so I think we've come to the end. Maybe I should ask maybe one final question for people that want to. Um, I think there are people joining the chat. If you want to ask question, make sure you drop it in the chat box. So maybe one question for people that wants to apply to France. Now, you mentioned that, okay, for self-paying students, they should make sure that they look for schools that have low-paying tuition fee. Do you have some website or probably maybe somewhere you can find some of these schools to apply to in
Mm,
France or something?
I think there is a Campus France platform where you can have access to all
Yeah.
of the schools
Yes.
and their admission. Yeah, I
Yes.
think I can't really remember what the website
Yeah,
is, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
I think you are very correct. So maybe I'm going to drop the link in the
Okay.
description of this video. I'm going to put it in the link to the Campus France website where you can just search for, you just put your course of study and the degree you want to study. So it will suggest you all these list of universities. So I think, yeah, that will be the end of the session today. The video is really long, 1 hour, 40 minutes. So I think
Yeah.
that should be the end. I really want to thank my friend Sherif. Thank you for accepting to speak on this platform because
Thank
yeah,
you for
it's a
inviting me also. It's an honor
yeah, yeah,
to speak in
yeah,
front of
yeah,
your audience.
yeah. So I, because sometimes there are sometimes you cannot really know people, but even you can be living together, but sometimes when you ask some list of questions, you really get to know some information that you haven't even know before or heard before from them. I think this really also opened to me some perspective about studying in France as well. So thank you very much. So we've come to the end. So see you. Hopefully, we are going to invite you to another session in this YouTube channel. So see you guys very soon. Make
Yeah.
sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.
Bye.